You know, when the Mavic Pro 2 came out, I thought to myself, damn, like that is so nice, but imagine if they could just make it a little bit smaller. Guess what they did? They kind of achieved it. So, let's go out and have some fun, shall we? This is the comprehensive, long-term, after the hype, whatever you want to call it, review of the Air2s and how it holds up 2 months later after everyone has stopped talking about it. Let's go. Now the new specs we are going to be talking about is the 1-inch sensor, the obstacle avoidance, which is quite an interesting little package, as well as the costs and the negatives. Now, this new drone has a top speed of 68 kilometers an hour, wind resistance of 35 kilometers an hour, and a massive ascent and descent speed of 21 kilometers an hour. This is all achieved through a butter smooth 1080p video transmission, which is led by OcuSync 3.0, which basically means a 12-kilometer range, and in real life it really lives up to that expectation. Now, the 1-inch sensor provides superb image quality and high dynamic range. It produces lower noise and so much more file information in both the images and the videos that you're taking. It is the same size as the Mavic 2 Pro, just without the adjustable aperture, which I will mention is not an issue if you get the Fly More kit, because you get this little ND filter pack, which I have used extensively, and they are really quite good. Now, this does offer less convenience to the Mavic 2 Pro, but it is an overall better package for prosumers like me, and possibly like you because you've clicked on this video, that while yes, you can't adjust the aperture whilst you're up in the air, you just have to bring it down for 30 seconds, put a new ND filter on, and then shoot it straight back up in the air. Or if you're like me, you just leave the ND 16 on all the time. Now, this sensor also shoots in 10-bit D-Log color profile, which is a massive plus because A, it allows for longevity of the drone, and B, it allows for so much more control over the colors, producing higher dynamic range than the standard picture profile. Though, if you do just want to shoot standard profile, it still looks excellent, in my opinion. So whilst you're not getting the adjustable aperture of the Mavic 2 Pro, you are getting 90% of its features in a much newer, updated version. The 1-inch also means a much better quality digital zoom. In fact, it's lossless. A feature on the Air 2, but in my opinion is much nicer on the 2S because of that 1-inch sensor. Like, you're basically getting the same quality of the 2x zoom that the Mavic 2 Zoom offered, again in a smaller package. So what's not to love about this? Now, you do also get a couple of new track features that come with this drone as opposed to the older models. One is perspective shot, which allows for a fixed distance follow me mode for those of you who want to create those nice little cinematic shots of yourself whilst moving, but without having to hold the controller. Now, on top of this drone also comes with master shots, which is a fantastic feature for new flyers who want to remove the stress of a new drone and trying to figure out all the controls and just create some beautiful videos of themselves and whoever they're with without having to, again, do anything. It's really quite amazing what this thing can do in master shots mode. It produces a 10-shot sequence and automatically merges it into one 3 or 2 minute video depending on what your preferences are, without the stress of learning how to do it. Now, when it comes to photography, this drone shoots 20 megapixel RAW and JPEG files, which produce some beautiful content if you're wanting to push the limits of your photography further. But if you don't want to do that and you just want to shoot in JPEG, again, this will produce something that I'm sure you'll be happy with. Now, I did mention that I would mention the negatives of this drone, and when it comes to the sensors, it is that fixed 2.8 sensor. People, for some reason, don't seem to like it. I guess that's because they expect variable aperture, but that's only going to be reserved for the 2 Pro. Sorry, I just saw a whale. Now, yes, this does mean that you will not be able to control it up in the air, but that is the compromise that you're making when you buy a smaller drone such as this one. Now, the second one's a weird one because when you're filming in 4K 60, this has a 1.5 times, as far as I'm aware, crop on the image. Now, this is slightly annoying because the Air 2 did not have this crop that I'm mentioning. So if you do need a drone that doesn't have a crop in 4K 60, the original Mavic Air 2 is probably the one for you. Oh, I just remembered, because I was just about to pack up, this drone has FPV mode, which, if you're like me and you like to take that little bit of a risk, it's going to be so much fun. Just check this out. Now, obstacle avoidance is another thing that we're going to be talking about just briefly. Now, it has these new sensors on the top instead of sensors on the side like the Mavic 2 Pro. Though in real world situations, these I feel are much more useful because when you're pitched forward flying, you are now able to see what is directly in front of you as opposed to what's straight down, which is completely irrelevant when you're up in the air. Now, in terms of sideways flight, this drone doesn't actually, from my experience, fly sideways. It flies on a more, so if it's, instead of doing this, instead of flying like that, it flies like this sort of. So it is sort of seeing what's in front of it because of the fact that it's pitched on a tiny little 10-15 degree angle. So you are getting a little bit of protection. But if you are concerned about this, you can just click this tiny little button on the Fly More app, which will disable sideways flight altogether, and then you will no longer have the issue of running into something on the side. Now, as we're out here in the greenery, in the trees, I thought, let's try this out. Now, this is an extremely nerve-wracking test for me because with my Mavic Mini, I hit my fair share of trees. And I guess with that drone, it doesn't really matter, but it's not a $2,000 drone like this. So we're gonna get this one up in the air and just see how well it will track me through the trees and hopefully not hit anything, because then I'm really gonna be disappointed. All right, let's get this up in the air and see what happens, shall we? Like Darth Vader, you know. Ready? Watch this. That's that. And that's it. I think it did pretty well. Like, I was very stressed because I have hit that many trees in the past, but I think now, after doing this test, at least I feel so much more confident about flying around trees and enclosed locations such as this. Let me know your thoughts, let me know what you think and how it performed in the comments down below. And then we'll be now going on to the third and probably the most important topic if you are budget savvy. Let's go. Now let's talk the price of this drone. This costs 2,100 Australian dollars, which is this much in US and this much in Great Britain pounds. Was it Great British? I've never actually figured that one out. Anyway, that's how much it costs. Now with that, you get those 2 extra battery packs, those crucial ND filters I told you about, 2 lots of joysticks, 2 lots of propellers, a dongle to turn this battery into a battery pack for your phone or anything else, as well as all the little screwdrivers and have you not to put this together. Now compared to the Air 2, which cost $1,899 for the Fly More combo, and the Pro 2 at $3,150, which is extremely expensive. Now, who is this drone tailored towards? Now, I would say definitely a prosumer who doesn't mind changing out ND filters in exchange for an adjustable aperture lens. So if you don't need to be in the air and changing apertures all the time and you want to save yourself $1,000, this is the drone for you. Now, as well as this, and a reason why I personally upgraded to this drone, is the future proofness. This shoots 5.4K 30 frames a second, as well as this 4K up to 60 and 2.7 120. On top of this, as I mentioned, you get that digital lossless zoom, which I think for the next couple of years at least is going to be more than enough for what you need, especially in the spaces where you will be flying and filming and uploading footage from this drone. Now, if you don't want to spend $2,100 on this massive drone, then the Mini 2 is going to be perfect for your needs, as that still shoots 4K 30 and does not have any of the restrictions that some countries will put on a bigger drone such as this. Though if you are in the market for that bigger, faster, more powerful drone with a slightly better camera, though only shooting in 4K, then the Pro 2 is for you. As for me, providing I don't lose this one, I will be keeping this for the next few years to come. Now, another little negative that I do want to mention is the fact that you cannot digitally zoom in 5K. Now, this is slightly annoying, though in the space that we're in, with 4K being the new standard, I don't see it being a problem in terms of future-proofness just yet, though maybe in a few years' time, if you manage to not crash your drone in that space, then it might become an issue. But other than that, it really is such a fantastic drone, especially with that lossless 2x digital zoom. You are getting so much more bang for your buck than any other drone on the market right now, at this price point, at this weight limit. And on top of that, these vision sensors look awesome. Like, it's like a little bug or a Porsche or something that looks super happy, but then super fast at the same time. And we have come to the end of the video. I really hope that you enjoyed it and you got some use out of this little review that I did. If you did, I would really appreciate if you hit the like button down here somewhere, as it is a massive help to me to push my channel out there to more people. And if you haven't already subscribed, I would really appreciate that. So then I will see you in the next one. All right, take care. Bye.